The following is a presentation of TFNN. The Morning Market Kickoff with your host, Tommy O'Brien. Now, Tommy O'Brien.
Good morning, everyone. This is Jacob filling in for Tommy. Gonna give a belated birthday wishes to little Tommy. So we have a lot going on today. Obviously, earnings came out yesterday. We had the payroll numbers come out and unemployment numbers come out as well. On that topic, we had payroll employment rise about 517,000 in January, and the unemployment rate has changed very little at 3.4%. This whole kind of plan by Powell is to really get that unemployment number up. So I think we're still going to be staying in kind of with the status quo that we've been seeing over the past year. We have the SPY, it's down 1.28%. Pre-market, we have Meta down 2.06%. Tesla's moving down a little bit. This had that insane run. I still think that Tesla has some issues overall in its market, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. Apple down. All of our big guys, the AAAs, missed earnings. Apple's down 1.9%. Let's take a look with it. So regarding Apple, we can take a look at the Q1 for 23. The iPhone missed 8% year over year. Mac decreased by 29% year over year. iPad did have some positive upswing on it by 30% year over year. Wearable home and accessories, which is their like Internet of Things, is down 8%. And services are up 6%. They did add people for their subscription services, which is massive. So Tim Cook said, quote, "We're proud to now have over 2 billion active devices in our installed base. The installed base growth also helped our services set an all-time revenue record of $20.8 billion, up 6% a year ago. The paid subs have quadrupled in the last 5 years, and quote, "We now have more than 935 million paid subscriptions across the services on our platform, up more than 150 million in the last 12 months alone," which is massive. Quadrupled what we just had 5 years ago, he says. Over the last 7 years, we doubled the installed base. That's a quote from him. Regardless, let's take a look. I still think we're going to have like some downward pressure. They had a decent, pre-market. We're still in the pre-market, but I do think we're probably going to have some down pressure today in the entire market. The Qs themselves are down 2.25%. Let's take a look here. Amazon's interesting. They did pretty abysmally on their holiday profits. They reported one of $278 million, 3 cents a share, and that's down from $1.39 a share over a year ago. Revenue increased to $149.2 billion from $137.41 billion a year ago. Analysts were expecting earnings of 17 cents a share on sales of $145.71 billion. So the shares fell 5% in after-hour trading following the release of the results, after closing with a 7.4% increase. So Amazon's interesting. One of the things that they have been shifting to, especially given conditions of like less buying, has been a focus on ad revenue. Ad revenue for companies like Meta and Google are down immensely. What Amazon's now allowing is you can pay money to essentially be top in the search for something. This is interesting. It's obviously kind of padding their financials a little bit. But I think what Amazon has done very well at is kind of servicing its end user. So you always get, the best, historically, you'd always get the best deal. You'd get the best content, essentially. But now what it's doing is focusing so heavily on this ad revenue. So if you pay enough money, you will be top on the search. That, in some way, is going to have to kind of reduce its quality. So it's interesting to see that. We had the numbers on that. So its advertising business grew 19%. Obviously, Google and Meta had to deal with slowdowns regarding it. Additionally, I think they're going to have some issues in the China market with some of the new deals being passed. Let's see. Amazon now holds 7.3% of overall online ad market. That's trailing Google and Meta-owned Facebook and Instagram. We'll hop back to Amazon. Google has an interesting kind of problem now. They had been working historically on their Lambda bot, right? This was the AI that a few months ago, sometime in the middle of last year, made headlines with one of the testers saying that it had become sentient, right? I mean, of course, it's just a chat bot and it's not sentient. But since then, they kind of took this offline. They have some kind of testing ground that you can apply to be a part of on your phone. There's an app. Very difficult to get in. The wait list is extraordinarily long. And if you look at it in the App Store, the reviews for it, apparently it's leagues behind what ChatGPT is. ChatGPT is obviously the AI that's been making a lot of headlines now. Microsoft gave $10 billion, and then some other investors gave another $10 billion as well. They have, let's see here. It's called Apprentice Bard, is the new testing they have that's using the Lambda technology. Google has released, I think last week, a music AI, which is pretty massive. But if you think about it, this is such a small fraction of what AI can do, and it's such a niche to get into. And of course, they'll make a lot of money based off of music AIs. But what this AI is doing is essentially filling in like back vocals for artists, creating harmonies, melodies, all that kind of stuff, which is huge, but it's not enough. And ChatGPT, if it gets out ahead of something like Apprentice Bard, Google is going to be missing the boat in a massive, massive way, and we're going to see even worse performance as this year goes on. Obviously, there was no talk about this for such a long time. With ChatGPT being so heavy, Google is putting a lot of their assets into this. It says the Alphabet company is working on a project under its cloud unit called Atlas, which is a, quote, code red effort to respond to ChatGPT, the large language chatbot that took public storm. Essentially, what they're going to do is the same thing that Microsoft would do with ChatGPT regarding Bing. This is going to revolutionize the way that we interact with search engines. Something interesting to think about regarding that, however, is what gets pushed to the forefront, right? If you've interacted with ChatGPT, and we'll get back to this after the break, you do get just kind of one consolidated answer. Obviously, there's a bunch of information and opinions or whatever on certain questions. And so the question starts rising, what is going to be given to you and why is it going to be given to you? So we'll see how that goes. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about the earnings report, and we'll get in maybe to some gold in the dollar. We'll be right back.
If you're looking for potential trading setups in the stock market, then Rocket Equities and Options Report is a newsletter you should try. Tommy O'Brien delivers options and equity trades when the markets present them, using a combination of fundamentals and technicals. Sign up for Rocket Equities and Options Report today with a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you have nothing to risk. For all the details and to start your subscription today, visit the front page of TFNN.com. TFNN, educating investors.
Everything in the universe is governed by the Fibonacci sequence. This mathematical principle is responsible for everything from the most aesthetically pleasing artwork to patterns in the stock market. To stay on top of stock patterns you can take advantage of, sign up for the Fibonacci 24/7 newsletter at TFNN.com. When you subscribe, you'll get a weekly report from veteran day trader Larry Pesavento on stocks you need to pay attention to. And you can trust Larry's analysis. After all, he's got 45 years years' experience as a day trader. Larry will also provide daily charts, videos, and data on the key markets that he's tracking. Expect notifications from Larry on market movement you need to act on at any time. First-time subscribers also get a 30-day money-back guarantee. If you're not satisfied, let us know and you'll get a full refund within 30 days of signing up. Subscribe to the Fibonacci 24/7 newsletter today. TFNN.com, educating investors.
Steve Rhodes started his trading career as a student almost 20 years ago, and the student has now become the master. Steve won the prestigious Timer of the Year award in 2018 and barely missed that mark again in 2019, finishing at number 2 for the year. An amazing accomplishment. Steve Rhodes is committed to sharing his techniques and knowledge with anyone who wants to learn, and he shares his vast amount of trading knowledge every day in his Mastering Probability newsletter. Steve's award-winning newsletter, Mastering Probability, is delivered every trading day with updates throughout the afternoon. Sign up for Steve's market newsletter, Mastering Probability, and you'll receive access to 7 of Steve's educational webinars absolutely free. At TFNN, all our newsletters come with a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you have absolutely nothing to worry about. Visit TFNN.com and try Mastering Probability 30 days risk-free today. TFNN, educating investors.
TFNN has launched the Tiger's Den. Hosted at Discord, TFNN has been educating traders for more than 20 years with live programming hosted by a variety of professional traders during market hours. The Tiger's Den, available to all tigers and tigresses for just $1 for the year. There's no catch or added costs when you join our community of traders. Sign up today and become a part of this educational community of traders. Just visit the front page of TFNN.com.
So we're taking a look at Google here again, down 474 pre-market. We'll wait to see what it does on the open. Pull it up here. So yeah, again, we had a revenue decrease, a revenue report of 63.12 versus 63.2 billion, and earnings per share is at 1.05 versus 1.18. Their ad revenue fell nearly 2 billion, 2 billion from Q4. And the ad revenue, meanwhile, missed analysts' estimates, coming in at 7.9 versus an estimate 8.2. YouTube's doing the same kind of thing where, again, owned by Alphabet, is pushing people just based on advertisements. This is eventually going to get a bunch of people to drift away from these platforms. You have so many new competitors out now, and it's very hard, I would say, to compete with these larger companies. Like YouTube just has its foothold. Like you go to YouTube for the reason you do, right? You don't really want to use anything else. But the more and more they change this end user experience and the less they focus on that, you're going to see, I would say, major issues. I'm going to take a look. DXY, it's high, it's crushing bond prices. The reports today are crushing the bond prices. Dollar's going up. Gold is getting crushed as well. Let's take a look. Excuse me. Let's move over to Tesla quickly. I had a friend ask me a few days ago, I think right about this point here, if you should buy Tesla, and I said no, right? I had been writing something for TFNN about why I think Tesla's dominance is not going to be much longer lived. You have so many competitors coming into this market now, right? Tesla's initial attraction, one, Elon Musk acts like a superstar, right? Everyone loves him. He's boisterous. And I guess, just can allow people to relate with him, even though he does the things that he does. Additionally, the Tesla itself was the new kind of, like, quote unquote, like sexy EV. The prior market was just buying Priuses, and that had always been viewed strangely in the culture, right? Like nobody wanted to really drive a Prius. Everyone made fun of how they look. So they come in, they make this good-looking EV, and it takes off. And they really have had they've held the crown for so long. But as we're moving in now, we have companies like VW, Ford, even Ram are making, these are, again, standard household names, so you kind of already have that angle to it for the average consumer. And additionally, you have companies like Lucid and Rivian are blowing up. Let's see here real quick. Get the numbers for you here. And these companies are really growing and taking a major part of the market here. So as of November 2022, Ford has doubled its EV sales, delivering up 6,225 units, and that's nearing almost 5% of total sales volume. I say, while numerically this may not seem impressive, it is important to recall that we are facing nationwide supply limitations regarding new vehicles. When one considers this, the total sales piques a bit more interest, and a 100% increase in sales is not easy to ignore. Looking deeper, like Ford's rollout of the EV, the Mustang Mach-E is up 15% in sales, and this, again, it seems like everything is attacking Tesla's kind of product chain from every angle, right? Tesla's higher end, kind of sportier models are now facing pressure from the Mach-E, which is a good looking car. And the market thinks so too. So it's up 15% in sales. Tesla had been talking about their Cybertruck. In my opinion, it's been a little too long since its announcement for it to have maintained its hype. It is a cool looking car, but in reality, what is the practicality of something like that? And so Ford rolled out the F-150 Lightning. Another interesting thing to speak about on the Ford end with EVs is the kind of appreciation it's been getting from government officials. So, I mean, there's been numerous videos of the president hopping in these cars, right? He speeds, I think there's been like 3 of them. And this is essentially kind of free advertising in some way. This is not good for Tesla in any way. The F-150 Lightning sold just above 2,000 units. And the Ford E-Transit utility van, which is another nice market to get into, which I feel like Tesla has not broken into, is making up a little over 10% of their total sales number year over year. And that is the best-selling EV commercial van in the nation. This is a massive thing for Ford. So if we go back to the Mach-E, at a similar price point, the Mustang provides, again, like a good-looking ride. Again, the overlap between who's going to want to buy the Tesla and the Mach-E is maybe not massive, but it is significant enough that it is going to take away from Tesla. I don't see this uptick that they got from good reports as lasting very long. Overall, it's still in a general down trajectory, and I think we're going to see that. What keeps this company going, at least share-wise, is just the respect and kind of clout it has among kind of your individual traders. Obviously, Cathie Woods as well continues to buy on the downswing, and that fuels this kind of perma-bull perspective that younger investors have. Again, people who aren't really even into trading whatsoever, people, even in my individual life that I know who are not really into trading, still play this stock all the time. I'm not even sure that they necessarily care about anything that it releases, none of the fundamentals, anything like that. They just see it as going up continually. This is like a broader issue, I feel, just in the market entirely, that this perma-bull perspective is not going to be easily crushed whatsoever. Especially when you have things like, our reports today, which is going to prolong this kind of high interest rate environment where Powell wants to crush these numbers and increase unemployment. The longer that doesn't respond to the measures by the Fed, the more this market will be in this strange kind of volatile era where you're going to get, massive downswings, but what your average investor is going to see, and I mean average investor, I would suppose people about like my age, a little bit older, a little bit younger. So many people I know trade. It is now becoming a very common thing. But this is going to, again, feed that perma-bull mentality. It's like, okay, we're just dipping, just buy it up, keep buying it up until, so much money just gets completely annihilated. Going back to Tesla's issues with new competitors, Rivian had some issues in its early rollout, but they're going to be able to take, again, a massive share away from Cybertruck. We'll get back to that when we come back from the break, but I don't think Tesla is going to be able to reign for much longer, so we'll be right back.
Building wealth trading in the stock market seems impossible to most people. They think it's too volatile and risky. Most people aren't going to take the time to educate themselves on how to do it right. But you're not most people, are you? At TFNN, you'll get the guidance you need to refine your strategies and techniques to invest like a pro. Because you'll be a pro. All TFNN subscriptions, books, software, and courses are available at TFNN.com. And I'm even going to tell you how to get them for less. Use TFNN's Tiger Dollars and you'll get up to a 20% bonus on your purchase. And once you apply them to your account, Tiger Dollars are automatically used for all future or recurring charges. Tiger Dollars also never expire, are fully transferable, and are a great way to add savings to your newsletters or services. Become the investor you were born to be at TFNN.com. TFNN, educating investors.
TFNN is excited about our new software charting program, The Art of Timing the Trade Charts. In collaboration with Tom O'Brien and using his best-selling book, The Art of Timing the Trade, Your Ultimate Trading Mastery System, David White has programmed an outstanding piece of software that will complement any trader's methodology. Using this first-of-its-kind program, The Art of Timing the Trade Charts allows you to scan thousands of stocks for Fibonacci formation setups, including Gartley's, ABC's, Butterflies, and much more. The Art of Timing the Trade Charts is designed to help you when scouring the markets for stocks just beginning to form the trading patterns that many investors spend days, weeks, or even months searching to find. And right now, we're offering licenses available at only $79 a month. We are so confident that you're going to love this new charting software that will even give you a 30-day unconditional money-back guarantee. Don't miss out on this incredible new piece of software. Get your copy of The Art of Timing the Trade Charts today by visiting TFNN.com.
Sharpening your skills as an investor is like getting better at playing a musical instrument. You have to practice, sure, but you also need excellent instruction from experts. At TFNN, you'll get advice and guidance from the authority in technical market analysis. And it's not just dry, tedious text either. TFNN airs live financial content streamed live on TFNN.com and TFNN's YouTube channel with Tiger TV, live every market day from 8:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern. For free. Each host is an experienced trader and gives their take on the market while taking calls and questions live from around the world. From the moment the market opens until the closing bell sounds, Tiger TV has 8 different shows with expert hosts to help you make the right moves with your money. Watch online at TFNN.com or on TFNN's YouTube channel and become the investor you were born to be. TFNN, educating investors.
This segment is brought to you by Thinkorswim. For more information, just click the Thinkorswim banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
All right, guys. So back to what we were saying regarding Tesla's kind of diminishing potential in this market. So obviously we have Rivian coming out with a lot of their new trucks, and these trucks look extraordinarily good. So let's see here. So Rivian is producing vehicles similar in style to Range Rovers in their R1S models, and the more recent cultural acquisition of, quote, luxury pickup trucks in their R1Ts. What these have in common, at least with the Range Rovers, is element of adventure potential. While Tesla is great for urban city type, it stops there. Rivian's style provides a more versatile identity and stands out boldly in the city, and flushes well with the weekend trips to the woods. I see a reality where the upper middle class will slowly phase their Land Rover Range Rovers out for R1Ss. They're very similar in style, save for the more futuristic look that we've come to know with a lot of EVs. And obviously, socially speaking, the electric aspect of Rivian is a little bit smarter. This is, again, not a market that Tesla has penetrated into. And maybe they never sought to do it, but from what you see with Elon, he seems to want to be like the go-to guy for everything. I do believe he missed out on this area. So I said, finally, on Volkswagen, this company is doing massive things. A lot of their EV rollouts are starting in Europe, but in some ways this is kind of positive before they get into the American market. They can see what works. Of course, the European taste is a little bit different regarding what they want in cars, but regarding the internals and how the car runs, this is pretty good. So we have the ID4 now with Volkswagen. Again, these are good-looking cars. They're, just VWs, but that has such a large share in this country that it'll be a no-brainer for people wanting to switch to EVs. Again, if you've driven a Volkswagen for a long enough time, why are you going to want to switch over to Tesla when you're ready for EVs? So in 2022, Volkswagen ID4 sales numbered over 20,500 in America alone. And this represents a 6.8% increase in total volume of VW sales. This vehicle easily competes in the same market segment that Tesla dominates, which is the upper middle class luxury vehicle segment. Additionally, VW is testing many of their new EV lines in Europe. So if and when they come to America, they'll already have been honed over a couple of years. Another cool thing is the ID Buzz. So they're bringing back essentially the VW bus that is now electric. It has this really slick, like space age retro view to it. And I do think that will take, it'll be definitely for the certain person, right? But it'll be huge. It'll be huge for it. So again, I do think Tesla will continue to play the way that it does, but it's not gonna be having this large impact over the years to come. And I do think it's important to try to look into some of these other companies as well, if you're looking for investment opportunities in the EV market, and then if you're just looking to buy yourself. All right, let's see here. What I have up on the screen now is Sony. Let's see here real quick. It's important, we're taking a look at Sony because Microsoft competes with it very heavily. So Sony is essentially crushing Microsoft in gaming. So Xbox hardware is down 13%, services are down 12%, revenue is down 13%. Services are obviously up. They're rolling out so many more services electronically. And then let's take a look here. So Sony Group Corporation, this is from Bloomberg, lifted its full-year profit outlook after record PlayStation 5 console sales. This helped beat earnings estimates. The Tokyo-based group raised its PS5 sales forecast to 19 million units for the fiscal year ending in March, after selling 7.1 million units over the holiday quarter. So momentum for building out the PS5 ecosystem is growing. Chief Financial Officer Hiroki Totoki said on a call after earnings report Thursday, waving off concerns about a demand lull for the two-year console. It hiked its operating profits, but won by $9.2 billion. So the key games division, aided by the tailwind of favorable exchange rates, nudged expectations higher. So this had its best quarter of PS5 sales since launching over the holiday period. Let's take a look here. So what are some of the analysts saying? So the rise could be partly explained by rising output of PS5s and potentially bloated unsold sales of PS4 consoles. So this has a lot to do also with the yen and dollar play. It says this means that unless the yen weakens again, we have seen the last of the positive distortion. So this might be not a long-term thing for Sony, but Sony still does a bunch of things. I mean, they make cameras for Apple, which we are seeing decline in sales of, but they have a nice kind of foothold essentially in this kind of tech market. Okay. Let's take a look here. Looking in the den quickly. If you have any questions, please drop them. Let's take a look. Okay, I guess we have Besford on the line. Besford, can you hear me?
Hey, Jacob. I can hear you. How you doing?
Give me a second, Besford. Can you talk again?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
I can hear you a little bit. What's going on, buddy?
I'm not sure why it's not working.
Okay, I got you now. What's going on?
I just had a question about Tesla and where you think it's actually headed to. So you're saying the Rivian could give it some competition. Who else do you think could give it competition? I think
Lucid could give a huge amount of competition as well. Lucid is right in that same market where they're making kind of like, mid to luxury sedans. Let's see here. Additionally to, Besford, they had to lower the prices of the units of their vehicle, right? In China, This caused a massive issue for them, where you had people who had just paid the non-decreased price. They're coming essentially to Tesla dealerships demanding rebates and stuff like that. There's a lot of EV competitors in China as well. I think Lucid has a really nice potential to get closer to where Tesla's at. They released some new cars.
What about the infrastructure of these new companies?
In what way? Like the way they structure their companies or their production capabilities?
Well, you're just having these, the factories, the charging stations.
Yeah. So if you hold on, we can get back to that. Obviously, Elon is great at developing these kind of factories, right? He's doing the Gigafactory in Texas. We can get back to that if you hold on the line real quick.
Yeah.
Right on. Okay, we'll be right back, guys.
You might think that if you want to be successful at trading in the stock market, you're going to need a crystal ball. After all, it's impossible to predict the future, right? Like any endeavor in life, before you decide it's impossible, get some advice from the experts. You might find that it's not so impossible after all. For daily market overviews that give you direction on the key indices, selective stocks, and commodities, subscribe to the Opening Call newsletter at TFNN.com. The Opening Call newsletter is written by Basil Chapman, creator of the trading methodology known as the Chapman Wave. The Chapman Wave up-down sequence gives you an edge in identifying price turns, finding the peaks and valleys in stock prices. Get the Opening Call newsletter by Basil Chapman in your inbox every day. First-time subscribers also get a 30-day money-back guarantee. If you're not satisfied, let us know, and you'll get a full refund within 30 days of signing up. TFNN.com, educating investors.
The technology around us is changing every day. With so much happening, it can seem impossible to keep up with all the information. David White's investment newsletter, The Technology Insider, is designed to give you all the information you need to understand the technology that shapes today's markets and tomorrow's future. David White has made his living staying on the cutting edge of technology. His weekly newsletter will give you specific recommendations for value tech stocks, as well as entry prices, target prices, and stops to set for each trade. Dave delivers his weekly newsletters every Friday with updates throughout the week. You can get the Technology Insider at TFNN.com for only $37.50. Sign up for David's newsletter, The Technology Insider, and get an inside look at everything the technology sector has to offer. Try it risk-free today with our 30-day money-back guarantee. TFNN, educating investors.
Will the S&P 500 continue to climb? For bold trades on U.S. large cap stocks in either direction, trade SPXL, SPUU, or SPXS. Directions Daily S&P 500 Bull and Bear Leveraged ETFs. Direction Leveraged ETFs. An investor should carefully consider a fund's investment objective, risks, charges, and expenses before investing. A fund's prospectus and summary prospectus contain this and other information about Direction shares. To obtain a fund's prospectus and summary prospectus, call 866-476-7523 or visit directioninvestments.com. A fund's prospectus and summary prospectus should be read carefully before investing. An investment in the funds is subject to risk, including the possible loss of principal. The funds are designed to be utilized only by sophisticated investors such as traders and active investors. Distributor Foresight Fund Services, LLC.
This program is brought to you by Vista Gold, traded on the NYSE American and TSX under the symbol VGZ.
Pesavento, are you there?
Yes, I'm still here.
Right on. Yeah, so I think we were talking about the factories before we left. Tesla has their Gigafactory, right? This is a mass production of lithium-ion batteries, essentially. And their completion of the units, are decent now, right? But keep in mind, like at the beginning of this, when Tesla was just rolling out, it was a long wait to get your car, right? And they've gotten better, obviously, as they've gotten more used to the market. But this is the same thing with these kind of new companies as well, such as Lucid, right? And Rivian. It's taking a while to get these kind of vehicles out, but they will get better at that. And then also when you're looking at things like Ford and VW and these already established vehicle makers, they're not going to have the same kind of problems. So I don't know if you're looking at it, the factory and the then completion of the vehicle factor from is Tesla just going to be better at that forever? If that's what you're asking, then no, I don't think so.
Yeah, no, you're definitely right about that. I just think they're just way ahead of the game in the EV charging stations and just the technology of these cars. And I don't know if you've ever driven a Tesla, but if once you drive one of these cars, every other car just seems like you're on a horse. They're just that amazing, and I definitely think that they're one of the best cars ever made.
Yeah.
Now the interior, that's something they need to work on. But as far as getting in the car and driving, especially if you're driving like a Model X or a Model S, the high performance ones, it's incredible. It almost doesn't seem real, like a spaceship.
Absolutely.
So that's one of the reasons why I'm such a big bull on Tesla, because it's an incredible car.
No, absolutely, and people who have them just absolutely love them. I haven't had the chance to drive a Tesla. I really should, but again, I'm so curious to see how it lines up with some of these newer ones. I see the Mach-E around the interstate quite often. It's a good-looking car too, and I wonder how that kind of again pans with something like the Model S.
I know that the Porsche ones, everybody wants one of those EVs as well, so that could give it a big, some competition there. And then the Rivian, those cars just don't look that good to me for some reason. I think they need to work on the design of those cars.
Something with it, yeah.
So, listen, they just started, so I'm sure it's going to take them some time, but they definitely need help on that. So let me ask you another question. I just had a question about gold.
Mm-hmm.
So is going down, right?
Yeah, gold's getting crushed. When the dollar essentially goes up, there's an inverse relation with gold. Now, obviously, what's happening, and the reason why the dollar is getting kind of pushed up, at least in my understanding of it, is while we're on kind of like shaky economic grounds in a lot of ways, like numbers are strong, unemployment's low, but that's actually not what we want. The rest of the world, too, is dealing with issues. You look at Europe, they have a war, right on their doorstep. So when this gets pushed down, when those economies get pushed down, the dollar does rise and gold tends to get smoked a little bit because of it.
Yeah, okay, I see. Well, that's kind of, I guess, good news, but kind of bad news. If you got the dollars and you're going to Europe, it's great. But if you're trying to sell something in Europe, it's not that great. So absolutely. I appreciate it. Well, thank you, man. It was good talking to you.
Right on, Besser. Thanks for calling in, bud.
Have a good one. Bye.
Okay, bye. All right, one of the things, too, with what Besser was talking about, or what we were talking about, obviously Tesla's focusing a lot on their battery technology, and they had been, routinely getting government either breaks or grants for these things. But this is not obviously going to be the only company doing this. There's a new startup called Next Energy, and they received a massive 300 million Series B in effort to get its 1.6 billion gigafactory up and running. As time goes on, there will just be more competitors in this market. Let's shift a little bit. Something interesting that came out was that the CEOs of both NVIDIA and AMD have confirmed that they've been under-shipping chips a while to keep CPU and GPU prices high through the pandemic. So as the PC industry flounders, Intel suffered from disastrous sales last quarter that instituted pay cuts and other extreme measures going forward. AMD's client PC sales also dropped dramatically, which is a whopping 51% year over year. Let's pull up AMD quickly. In a call with investors Tuesday night, Lisa Su confirmed that AMD had been under-shipping chips for a while now to balance supply and demand. Quote, "We have been under-shipping the sell-through or consumption of the last 2 quarters. We under-shipped in Q3, we under-shipped in Q4, and we will under-ship to a lesser extent in Q1. It's a weird kind of bit of data. Like, what do you do with that, right? These companies are obviously not going to dump the market and decrease the value of their chips in any way. I don't necessarily see what happens with this. NVIDIA has been doing the same thing too. NVIDIA also has some other issues regarding its security. They use drivers on their hardware, and on the drivers, there's certificates basically that can confirm what's going on, that this is the driver. A lot of these drivers have, a lot of these certificates have expired, and they've now become exploitable in a cybersecurity realm. So they're posing some massive issues regarding that. Chinese are able to kind of exploit these failed certificates and fake the certificates. This again is a big issue for security. In that realm as well, totally given the death knell to Huawei, which is the phone company, big in China, and they had been selling it here. There's always been this kind of underlying talk or joke that Huawei basically is collecting data from American users and stuff. I'm not sure if that has been confirmed, but this plays a bigger role in the tech war regarding China. The same thing with TikTok, and this might be a massive issue for Meta. Reels were massive, which is essentially the videos that you see on TikTok. I think the revenue from that was up 7% from last quarter for Meta. I do think that the government now, in this kind of tech war that we're having, we will see some downward pressure on TikTok, and eventually we might see a full-out ban for it. The data collection from these companies is a potential threat. Again, I'm not saying there's any proof that that's what's occurring, but it is a big thing. One of the things in that realm we'll get back to, and again, kind of in the realm of just consumers, the Chinese are very big in the video game market, right? And they acquire American video games. And I'll get back to that in a second of why that's important regarding this kind of realm. So we'll be right back, guys.
TFNN has just launched their new trading room, the Tiger's Den. Hosted at Discord, TFNN has been educating traders for more than 20 years with live programming hosted by a variety of professional traders during market hours. And now they are expanding their reach with the Tiger's Den, available to all tigers and tigresses for just $1 for the year. There's no catch or added costs when you join our community of traders. In the Tiger's Den, you can look over the shoulders of Tom O'Brien and the other TFNN hosts while they analyze charts during their live Tiger TV programs, and join an interactive trading community with hundreds of members exchanging ideas. Interact with other tigers and tigresses as they share trading ideas, news analysis, and discuss the market action all trading day, even at night and on the weekends. The Tiger's Den at Discord is accessible on mobile or tablets as well, so it's always at your reach. To sign up today and become a part of this educational community of traders, just visit the front page of TFNN.com.
You might think that if you want to be successful at trading in the stock market, you're going to need a crystal ball. After all, it's impossible to predict the future, right? Like any endeavor in life, before you decide it's impossible, get some advice from the experts. You might find that it's not so impossible after all. For daily market overviews that give you direction on the key indices, selective stocks, and commodities, subscribe to the Opening Call newsletter at TFNN.com. The Opening Call newsletter is written by Basil Chapman, creator of the trading methodology known as the Chapman Wave. The Chapman Wave up-down sequence gives you an edge in identifying price turns, finding the peaks and valleys in stock prices. Get the Opening Call newsletter by Basil Chapman in your inbox every day. First-time subscribers also get a 30-day money-back guarantee. If you're not satisfied, let us know, and you'll get a full refund within 30 days of signing up. TFNN.com, educating investors.
Everything in the universe is governed by the Fibonacci sequence. This mathematical principle is responsible for everything from the most aesthetically pleasing artwork to patterns in the stock market. To stay on top of stock patterns you can take advantage of, sign up for the Fibonacci 24/7 newsletter at TFNN.com. When you subscribe, you'll get a weekly report from veteran day trader Larry Pesavento on stocks you need to pay attention to. And you can trust Larry's analysis. After all, he's got 45 years experience as a day trader. Larry will also provide daily charts, videos, and data on the key markets that he's tracking. Expect notifications from Larry on market movement you need to act on at any time. First-time subscribers also get a 30-day money-back guarantee. If you're not satisfied, let us know and you'll get a full refund within 30 days of signing up. Subscribe to the Fibonacci 24/7 newsletter today. TFNN.com, educating investors.
This segment is brought to you by Thinkorswim. For more information, just click the Thinkorswim banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
All right. So what I was saying before we got to the break was this kind of pervasiveness of technology, essentially, right? And one of the things that's interesting, I have a friend who plays this video game. It's called Valorant. It's owned by a Chinese company. The Chinese larger game manufacturers and game companies do acquire American ones, right? And they've installed, this is old news, but they added an anti-cheat software, right? So people cheat on video games using whatever program. This anti-cheat software basically installs itself on the kernel level, which if you know anything about how computers work or cybersecurity, kernel level access to anything other than yourself is a big deal. It can completely alter how the computer works. It could be a backdoor. And again, I'm not saying this is what's happening whatsoever. There's some legitimate reasons you might make kernel level access for an anti-cheat, but it's just a question of like, do you want to actually do that? And I don't think enough people are aware of that. Also, before we wrap up, this tech war that we're seeing brewing is massive. There's this company ASML. They're based out of the Netherlands, and they make machines for chip manufacturers. And historically, these companies were only allowed to give last generation or prior to Chinese companies in order to make chips. they're talking about that there might be now a just total ban on something called extreme ultraviolet lithography, and this would greatly hamper the chip production capabilities of China. And it's interesting to see how this is going to shake out. I know there's a lot of grants for companies trying to make chips in America, so we might not see big price issues. And also, as we just heard, there's intentional gluts occurring because of it. So we might be able to keep prices at a somewhat similar level for chips and semiconductors. But we'll see what happens. There's a lot of stuff developing on this front. So, guys, thank you for having me today. It's been great. Good luck trading. And I think we have Basil coming up next. So have a good day, guys.